Hi, everyone. I'm sending this message to every single person who was a player character in one of my tabletop campaigns on YouTube. Some of you I've spoken to relatively recently, especially if you are on the Discord server. And some of you I haven't had the opportunity to speak to in a very long time, perhaps since your campaign ended or since your last crossover session. Regardless, I hope all of you have been doing well. I hope life hasn't been super annoying to you over the past several years, especially during the early pandemic times. As you all probably know, I've been running tabletop campaigns on my channel for 10 years now, and I am planning on taking a long break from hosting full campaigns, at least on my channel, for the foreseeable future. I'm raising a family now, I have two small kids, and I made a promise to my spouse that I would cut back on these campaigns in order to spend more time with the family. Who knows? Maybe one day when the kids are older and want nothing to do with me, I may take it up again. Who knows? But in the meantime, for my final campaign, which I currently am nicknaming the Endgame campaign, mostly because I'm not clever enough to think of a better nickname for it. I wanted to do something totally different and totally out of the box. My intention for it was to be a celebration and a love letter to all of your individual campaigns, and a way for players from all 9 campaigns to come together in whatever capacity they can in one massive reunion. Before I move further, there's 2 very important things I want you all to understand up front. First of all, this is 100% voluntary. While, of course, I would love for all of you to be involved in some form or fashion, there is no pressure, and I'm simply just extending an invitation to you. If you choose not to participate for whatever reason, it is totally cool. No questions asked. The second most important thing that I want you to know is that this campaign is specifically meant to be super informal and will not require any major time commitments from you. If all you have time for is to play for 1 hour, 30 minutes, even 15 minutes, one time for the entire year, you can do that. Or if you just want to do a very quick 2-minute cameo, and again, that's the only thing that you do for the entire span of the campaign, you can do that. Or if you do want to play in a full session or multiple sessions throughout the campaign, you are welcome to do that too. In other words, the campaign is designed to be flexible around your personal schedule and interest. Participate in whatever capacity you want, whenever you want. You may say, my schedule is lighter only in May. You can just play in May. You can say, I'm busy the entire year, except for this one weekend. You can choose to play on that one weekend. Some of you are wondering, so how exactly is this all supposed to work? Well, hopefully by now, it's obvious that this isn't the type of campaign where you have to commit to come to every session. There's about 50 of you, so for sure that's not happening. But in order to explain how the scheduling will work and how the flow will work, I have to first explain the premise of the campaign. I don't know how many of you follow the Marvel Universe, and if you don't, that's perfectly okay. But there was an animated series on Disney Plus from the Marvel Universe called What If? And each episode of What If explored a parallel universe, a parallel reality where something totally different from the canon movies happened. What if Steve Rogers never became Captain America? What if Black Panther didn't become the Black Panther, but instead became Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy? What if you mixed Marvel heroes with the zombie apocalypse? It was an interesting and fun premise. So this campaign is pretty much a series of what if scenarios, and it is completely open to your imagination and creativity. Some ideas could be, what if all of the techie-based PCs all came together and went on one mission together for a session? Or what if all of the socialite PC characters got together and threw a big party or event, or had a fashion show, or some other competition? I don't know, like just thinking out loud. What if certain characters didn't die in your campaign? What would have happened instead? What if your group from your campaign made a totally different major choice? What would have happened? What if certain PCs went evil? What if your entire party went evil? What if all of your characters were in a universe where everyone had hot dogs for fingers? Other things that are completely out of the box. What if various characters across different campaigns were part of some reality show like Survivor or Big Brother? What if they were in some sort of Squid Game reality show that had a little bit more darker theme with more fatal consequences? What if all of the characters from your campaign were actually Pokemon? What if your characters were dropped in a zombie apocalypse situation? What if everyone was Brandon? What if every PC character in your game was actually Brandon, and you had to roleplay as Brandon as those characters? What if someone else GM'd a session and I played? What if David, aka Reclusiarch, aka Artifactor, what if he were DMing a scene or a scenario and all of the characters spoke in Swedish and the players had to adapt to that somehow? What if you had this session or series of scenes where, if any of you have seen the show Whose Line Is It Anyway, the improv show with Drew Carey, they had this improv game where people would write down just random lines of dialogue, like, "There's a snake in my boot," or "Doctor, doctor, is there a doctor in the house?" or anything really. And they would put them into a hat. And then as they acted out a scene, at certain times they had to pull a piece of paper from the hat, and their character had to actually say that dialogue that was written in the piece of paper, and everyone had to like adapt to that, whatever the character said. And so we could essentially do a scenario or a session where, the players would write down these random things, put them in a virtual hat, and as the session went on, people were kind of forced to pull from the virtual hat, and their character had to say whatever it is the thing said, and then the players just kind of, adapted to that. What if there was a session that we live streamed, And the viewers in real time voted and chose the major decisions that the characters either did or said. And of course, all the players would have to adapt to the viewer's choice. What if there was a session where a whole bunch of players agreed to come together in the DC area and did a LARP? We did a fully LARPed session or scene or series of scenes. As you can see, there are endless possibilities. Anything goes. Think out of the box, come up with a fun concept, gimmick, game mechanic, what have you. Pretty much no idea is too nuts or too crazy. Obviously, as long as they fall under the guidelines of what is appropriate on YouTube, obviously. But other than that, pretty much anything goes. And if you think of an idea that can either make it into a session or even just a single scene, it doesn't have to be a full session. Just propose it and see if anyone might be interested in participating in it. I'll try everything in my power to make whatever idea you come up with that a whole bunch of players think would be fun to do. I'll try everything in my power to make that happen and GM it accordingly. And it could just be as simple as, I've always wanted to play with so-and-so from another campaign, or I think it would be really cool if my character met and interacted with this other character from this other campaign. Let's come up with a session or scenario where those people or those characters could play together. The whole point for this is to have fun. Have fun in this giant sandbox with whoever you want to play with. These sessions or scenes are meant to be episodic and essentially are their own individually contained stories. However, there will be some overarching plot that kind of threads through all of them together that will be revealed as the campaign progresses. The idea is that you'll have these different characters from different campaigns coming together in very different, bizarre situations, but they never question it. For some reason, they just accept whatever they need to accept for that scenario. And maybe that'll be explained later in the plot later on. So how is scheduling going to work? So I'm going to come up with a tentative schedule that spans for an entire year. And it's not going to be super set in stone, but I'm going to try to make it as accurate as possible. The schedule for that full year will contain individual time slots that you and a group of players can sign up for. So the first step is to determine what the scene, scenario, or session will be and who will participate in it. So I will encourage all of you to coordinate with each other and figure out what you want to do, who you want to do it with, and once you've determined that, figure out which time slot you want to reserve. I will say, though, that you must make sure that you ask each participant if they are genuinely interested in it before you sign yourselves up. I'm going to be real for a second. Some of you may only be interested in playing with specific people, and that's perfectly okay. So if you don't feel comfortable playing with a specific person or group, or maybe you just don't have the time or are just not interested in the concept, please do not be afraid to politely decline. And I will ask in return that if anyone does bow out from an idea or group, please be respectful to them with no questions asked. I'm trying to make this be as low pressure as possible. Play because you want to, not because you feel obligated to. So hopefully that gives you a general idea of what this campaign is and what is involved. Think about it, talk among yourselves. You don't have to decide now if you're going to participate, because again, I'm just going to keep the schedule open for an entire year. And anytime during that year, on a whim, you can decide if you want to play. In terms of when these sessions are going to begin, most likely, I'm thinking we're going to start sometime this summer, tentatively. Still trying to figure out when the Ready Persona 1 campaign is going to end, and how much time I need to prepare between that and the Endgame campaign. So just to give you a ballpark figure of when things are going to start kicking off. But then, again, essentially, whenever it starts, it's pretty much is going to run for about a year after that. To help you get those creative juices flowing, I am going to include a link to a spreadsheet of all of the what if ideas that we collectively come up with. If you have any questions up to this point, please ask them in the Hark and RPG Friends channel on the Discord server. It just makes it exponentially easier to coordinate everything in this campaign throughout the year if all of the participants are on Discord. If you need an invite to the Discord server, please let me know. Anyways, I hope this sounds like a fun idea for most of you at least. And even if it doesn't and you choose not to participate, thank you again just for being a player in one of my campaigns. Thank you for putting in the time out of your busy schedules. And I hope to be able to catch up with you in another form or fashion sometime in the future. Until then, take care, everybody. Mwah. Bye.